It's like trying to win a car race.
Should be a good one.
And as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
It's the Muppet Show with our very special guest,
Mr. Tim Sweeney. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for May 4th, 2021. I couldn't, for a second there, I was like, it's 0504. Is that May 4th or April 5th? What month are we in? Anyway, welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch and archived almost anywhere that you can find podcasts. This is Ash, here with you with Subsidian and Moontag, as always. What'd you think of my Kermit impression?
Pretty good.
Was it really?
Better than mine.
I really didn't.
I mean, Kermit is one of those voices that I wish I could just naturally do, like, all the time. I like, you know, that or the Stewie voice. Like, I would kill, seriously kill, if I could just do the Stewie voice whenever I wanted to. The stuff that I would, the passive aggressive, like, you know, stuff I would do would just probably land me in a lot of trouble. So that's probably why it's not a good idea. But my lord, yeah. So so yeah, it's the reason why we started with that is because man, this trial is kind of like
this Epic versus Apple thing that's going on in court right now. I have seen more coherent plot lines in episodes of the Muppet Show.
I've seen I think you could pick a lot of random, like, Muppet shows and they would be more coherent and, like, together than what this trial is right now. This trial is like, it's like, I couldn't write this stuff, which is like, I mean, this is something that we keep saying over and over and over again, and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse because it literally, I cannot, for the life of me, like, write these plot lines. If I were to take this stuff happening in real life right now, in a whole bunch of different situations, and apply them into, like, a book or a story, people would look at it and go, "That's ridiculous. Nobody'd be that stupid." Like what happened today. It's
yeah, exactly. So trial starts. Epic versus Apple suit about whether or not Apple is violating antitrust law, and the whole way that this got started was a Muppet Show episode in and of itself. But the trial starts, and it's one of these court cases where apparently people can, you know, come in and observe the proceedings, right? But because of lockdown restrictions and things like that, they opened up a phone line where you could dial in and listen. You could dial in and listen to it, and all the participants and people giving testimony were mic'd. So people were dialing in, and whoever was running this thing either forgot or didn't know how to mute all the people that called in, and so the trial got delayed. Day one of, was it today or yesterday? The testimony that got delayed because of just a whole bunch of people, a lot of them young kids who were Fortnite fans, just all talking over one another, and nobody could make heads or tails out of what was being said. It was rather funny. Some rather amusing things were being said. Somebody promised, somebody said something to the effect of, I would orally pleasure all of you to get Fortnite Mobile back, which was doubly creepy because this person sounded really young. So anyway, it's a
gong show. It's an absolute gong show.
So that was a oh yes, it is May the 4th. Hey Robin.
Yes, it is May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
We would have started with a Star Wars themed episode, but I mean, right now, I can't think of a single thing that's currently, like, in development or has been recently released that is good about the Star Wars universe. Like there is good stuff, and there's good actors doing good jobs within it, and there's good writers and some good directors here and there that are trying to do their best. They're few and far between, but right now the whole Star Wars thing is very much laughable farce of a upside down insanity carousel.
Well, and we talked on Saturday on Saturday you may have noticed that there was no podcast here on Triple S Podcasts. Instead, we did a live stream on our main channel, the Triple S League. We called it Saturday Morning Legion, and this is
a little bit more gaming orientated.
So
which is why it's over there.
Go check it out. There was some funny stuff, and I posted a video today. I did an edited video of the segment of the live stream where we did where we played Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. It was pretty hilarious, and so it was a good time. Moon and I were on Facecam. Saib was himself. We showcased 3 different games. Moon was doing live art throughout. It was a lot of fun. It was a really good time. We're planning on continuing to do things in that format on Saturday mornings. So what that means for this channel, well, for the time being, we're still planning on doing this it's Tuesday night / Wednesday podcast in the normal augmented reality format. But anyway, we talked at the beginning of that about how the Star Wars Twitter account had posted a May the 4th be with you poster graphic thing that was sort of celebrating the upcoming May the 4th, Star Wars Day. And they posted this on Twitter a few days ago, and there was absolutely nothing on it from the sequel trilogy, episodes 7, 8, and 9. There were characters from the original trilogy, there were characters from the prequel trilogy, there were characters from the what's it called? The Clone Wars series, characters from other new stuff. The Bad Batch was on there, and I understand they're from a Clone Wars episode, but they're getting their own show coming up.
Yeah, it's like a spin-off thing. Like that the animated show has been doing very well for a very long time. Like it's the only thing that's actually like, and that's where I believe that's where like the people who did who were instrumental in the Mandalorian series kind of had their roots in too. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't been paying attention because the whole Star Wars thing has been kind of a gong show for the last couple of years.
No, I don't really know.
Yeah, Robin Green says can't do anything right, lol. Yeah, right?
Yeah. So, Lady Reaver says, my favorite couple, Kylo Ren and General Hux, were not featured. No.
Oh.
No, how would you ship that? Huxlow? Kylux? Huxlow. Huxlow's better.
Huxlow. Yeah, I like that better.
No, they were not there. Nothing. No characters at all. And, not just hiding Finn away so as to not offend people in China, but literally no sequel trilogy characters. And yes, that was a jab at Disney for taking, for giving giving lip service to racist causes, but then turning around and being racist themselves. What a garbage company it has become these days. Some would argue it has been garbage from the beginning. But anyway, let's not get into that. Anyway, so Star Wars Day. So that was just a really, really... Are they making a statement? Are they... What was with that? Because, honestly, I don't think they would have gotten any backlash for putting out a poster that had the sequel trilogy characters on it. Because I think even people who despise the episodes 7, 8, and 9, I think we've all at least accepted that those characters are canon. So, were they making some kind of a statement? Are they thinking of retconning away the sequel trilogy? What's going on? It was an odd thing for them to do. You know what I mean? It was just really odd. And that's all I have to say about that, because I have no idea. Anyway, May the 4th be with you, or as someone told me earlier today, this is the May. Mandalorian joke. Okay, so Back to what we were talking about, the Epic Games versus Apple lawsuit, and let me bring up a tab on screen here that actually has something to do with how things are going. So, where did we leave off talking about this? So there was that whole thing. Actually, here's the. You can actually listen to the clip. I'm not going to play it right now, but yeah, as this individual posted on Twitter. The start of the Epic v. Apple trial appears to be delayed because no one can figure out how to mute the hundreds of people asking the judge to bring back Fortnite Mobile on the public teleconference line. Combine this with the cat judge thing that happened a little while ago. So the court system down there needs better tech support. Let's put it that way.
It would have been so much better if they did have cat cams. Oh my goodness.
Muppet cams, Muppet
just
cams.
All these cats just giving crap.
Yes.
Oh, that's comical.
It's one of these scenarios where, that it's like you clearly, like it's just it's. Hold on.
He.
All right, excuse me.
You used your cough button, but then your cough came through Moon's mic.
Yeah, because it's like we're like a different level apart. That's why I muted myself, because I didn't want to do that on and blow everybody's eardrums. But no, this is one of these reasons why, when we're looking and when we're talking about the very delicate and important issues that gamers are facing, it's like a madhouse, an absolute madhouse, to try and like get these people to make sense, right? Like of the new thing, it's like people who, like, none of these people on any of these things have, like, they probably, all of the lawyers, all of the judges, all, like, everybody involved in this, probably, like, their closest experience with video games is probably either like I don't know, like Candy Crush maybe, or like maybe they referenced a Tetris joke, or like a Super Mario joke back in the day. Like I still every once in a while I think that meme is dead, right? I'm convinced it's dead. I'm convinced that it just can't happen, right? Like it just can't be a real thing to hear somebody go, "Oh yeah, you kids, I remember, you know, you really like that Super Mario, don't you?" And it's like, dude, where have you been for the last 30 years? Like that, like, did you just not update your, like, dialogue choices? Like, are you an NPC with dialogue stuck?
I gotta say though, I mean, Mario's still pretty relevant, but yeah, your point is taken.
When they're saying like the Super Mario, right? Like it's like. Yeah, and it's just like, wow, these people are well. I wouldn't say it's out of touch, because you don't, like, I don't expect, like, judges in that to, like, have that, but I expect somebody to have, like, some level of, like, general understanding. But then maybe that makes them biased. So I don't know. I don't know what this needs, but it clearly needs something.
Well, we're going to see another example in a minute of how the court system seemed a little bit unprepared for dealing with a case of this caliber, because there's been leaks coming out left and right. Stuff about Epic and Fortnite, but also stuff that's completely unrelated. Like, it has nothing to do with Epic or Apple, that have just been referenced in documents that have been talked about in this trial. Plus, there's just a lot of chaos going on with people on the fly saying, no, we can't talk, I object. We can't talk about this. This is trade secrets. We have to redact this. We have to redact that. And I object. That's what lawyers say, right? That's just, I know nothing about it other than what I've seen in Law & Order. By the way, there is breaking news about The Witcher 3 director leaving CD Projekt Red. We will discuss that after this Epic and Apple story. So stick around for that. We are going to discuss that. So, little backstory. And by the way, hello to, we didn't do our little opening spiel, but hello everybody who is active in the live chat. Whole bunch of you, whole bunch of our regulars and some others I see. Thank you for joining us. Hit that like button if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate that. Slam the like button.
It likes it rough.
Moon would know. Moon would know.
Smash it.
Smashy smash. And, of course, feel free to check out our Discord server if you want to have more conversations like this and engage with some other people who love games and other nerdy things as much as you do. Check out the Discord server. We've got a great community brewing there. All right. That makes it sound weird when I say it. There's a community brewing. Yeah.
Now, well, I mean, there's a few people who do like to, make their own alcohol. So, I mean, it's a cool thing.
It's a community is brewing. It's not a brewing community. It's a community brewing. Wait, Lady Reaver says, it reminds me of an older manager who asked me once, are kids doing the weed?
If I heard that, I might have to jump out the nearest window.
Well, here's the thing. Like, back in the 60s or 70s, when I'm guessing this manager would have been younger, they didn't call it the weed back then, so where does that even come from? That's just
Probably from TV.
That's just something that's so out of touch. Yeah. Hello, fellow students. Okay. Let's talk about the topic. Maybe.
What was his name? What was his fake name? I am student
Oh, there's a couple. Well, okay. If you're talking about Clone High, he was like, "Yes, it is me, your school chum, Clone E McStudent."
Yeah, it was Clone E McStudent.
And then Mr. Butlertron is like, "Where are my bitches?" It was fun. It was such a funny scene. But there's a meme with who is it? Who's the actor? Is it Rob Schneider? No, just this guy who's like clearly middle-aged, posing as a student. It's from some movie, and he's just like, "Greetings, fellow students," or something to that effect. Someone in the chat, let me know who that is. All right. So the Epic versus Apple lawsuit. Brief recap of what's actually going on here. So basically, they're in court right now to decide if Apple's restrictions on payment processing through apps that are sold in their store are a violation of antitrust law. That is my understanding of what's going on here. And this all started like an episode of The Muppet Show, like a good old episode of The Muppet Show, with, someone pulling something over on somebody and it resulting in shenanigans. So basically, Epic was distributing Fortnite on the Apple, iOS store, Fortnite Mobile. And they put their own payment processor into the app so that if you were buying llamas and whatever, if you're buying the V-Bucks, that you wouldn't have to, basically you're buying it directly through the app instead of going through the Apple Store, in which case Apple doesn't get their cut, and therefore it costs less for the consumer. Now, this was against Apple's rules, so this all started when Epic intentionally broke Apple's rules. Apple banned Fortnite from their store, and then Epic responded. I'm sorry, I keep mixing them up, or I keep saying the wrong thing. Epic responded almost immediately with a very well thought out advertising campaign blasting Apple that had clearly been prepared in advance. Clearly, they were ready for that. So that's the opening of all of this. Now they're in court, and this was months ago. Now they're in court here, and we had the chaos with
a year ago, I think, or
was
more.
It that long? Like, it was a long time.
It's been a long time. Like this battle has been brewing for a while, and it was brewing beforehand too, because of the amount of money involved. Really, like this really, like, it really comes down to a money thing. Like, again, they can say one thing. Epic can say a lot of different things about this, but we all know where this actually like stems from, and it basically is just money.
Well, it's all about money, but also PR. Apple internally, Apple had a name for this. It was like called Project Freedom or something. It was like some name like that passed it off as like, oh, we're being virtuous. We're taking on the big guy for the sake of the smaller developers, et cetera, et cetera. Like, and they've really been trying to frame it like that. Like, oh, we're not just going to bat for us. Apple's practices are unfair to all developers. And so that's really how they've been playing this. They seem to be trying to garner a lot of goodwill. Is it working? I don't know. To me, I just see $1 billion company squabbling with $1 trillion company. No, hold on. That's not right. Apple's not $1 trillion company, is it?
No,
nobody
is a trillionaire.
Yeah,
it's $1 billion company, like a multi-$100 billion company, wrestling with a smaller, $1 billion company.
Yeah, so two just rich people whining at each other. That's what I see. And now, is Apple actually in violation of antitrust law? I don't know. That's what the trial is going to determine. So, anyway, the interesting thing, because I don't think there's really much point in hashing what the arguments have been thus far, because, once the trial's over, we'll be able to look at it and look at what was decided, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the really interesting things about this is that the what's the article on it here? Oh yeah, so this article from IGN, Epic versus Apple shows the courts were not prepared for the games industry's obsessive secrecy. Sony and at least 10 other companies are not happy with some of the information that's been revealed through these court proceedings. So yesterday, there was a bunch, because the documents that are submitted as evidence, or exhibits, whatever you call it, they're made public, and I can literally click this link here. You can't see my mouse cursor, but there's a link right here that I can click and access the folder where all of these documents are, and I can go read them. There were 100 documents submitted to the folder at the start of the day yesterday, and then suddenly got deleted, probably because somebody was like, whoa, you've got our confidential information on there. And then they started trickling back in. But there was some confidential information that leaked out. We're going to talk about, I've got 7 things, and there may be more. I've got 7 things that we're going to go through that leaked out through this whole process. And then today, I think it was today. Oh, yeah. So I find this rather funny. So the court keeps getting surprised by on-the-spot third-party requests for confidentiality. In one amusing exchange earlier in the day, a piece of evidence was submitted by Apple with the intent of questioning Sweeney about it. That's Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic. However, proceedings were paused as Epic's lawyers pushed back, saying there was confidential information in the document that Epic's third-party partners didn't want spoken out loud. Apple's lawyers argued back. The judge got annoyed because the judge is saying, wow, this is the 10th or 11th motion to seal information. And anyway, the judge hadn't received a request with respect to this document. So then Epic's lawyers said this. They pointed out that there's a third party that is mentioned in the exhibit and wanted to be redacted, and that third party is Paradox Interactive. And so in asking to redact the information, he publicly mentioned the name of the company name that they wanted to redact.
Yeah, it's like it's like, don't tell our son that we're having a birthday party for him, and the son is in the car looking at his parents, and he's the only son, and they're like, oh yes, we can't tell him that there's going to be a big party on the 3rd.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And it's just, again, it's like this is an absolute Clown Fest. I can't say Clown Blank, so I got to say Clown Fest. So yeah, they just
It's the Muppet Show
and put out this huge spoiler for like upcoming content, basically.
Yeah. Judge, we have to redact this. This document has information that needs to be redacted. Oh, well, what needs to be redacted? Oh, Paradox. We can't mention Paradox. So when we talk about this in a minute, we're going to redact the name of the company. And that company name is Paradox, okay? We've got to redact Paradox. Good grief. It's just... What a ridiculous bunch of nonsense. Anyway.
Yeah, well, and Wooly Ram in the comments, he points this out. And these clowns are rulers and judges. We are fudging. Yeah. Fudging doomed. We are fudging doomed. 100%. Yes, we are. Well. Like I'm starting to like really like worry now because I'm like these people can't be this stupid, can they? And the worst thing about it is like this crop of like type of lawyer types are the people who typically become like politicians, right? So it's like it's like right now you're just like, oh dear. Well, Paradox is not necessarily like may not necessarily have been teaming up with Epic. It's just like they're like prepping they're prepping, you know, to sell stuff on their store, right? Like and Paradox is a big enough company now. They're definitely like really built into Steam, so they're not going to be going Epic exclusive. I don't see that happening at all because they're I don't think their player base would move with them at all. But it's probably one of these things where it's like they're talking about like an upcoming project or an upcoming thing, and then that somehow got into the thing as admissible evidence. So yeah.
Indeed. So let's look at some of the things that have leaked. In no particular order.
Yay.
Yeah. So, Epic has to pay Sony compensation in order to enable crossplay on games like Fortnite.
Wait. Epic has to pay Sony for the right of the players to play with people that they want to play with.
That's right.
On other things. That is, wow. Sony, you guys are really wow. Just wow.
Yeah. And it just came across that like Sony is really not in favor of crossplay. Sony charges developers royalties for crossplay if the PSN revenue share is less than 85% in any given month.
What?
Well, I mean, if your game is on when is your Sony share of the revenue on a game that's available on all the platforms? It's never going to hit 85%, if I'm understanding what that is correctly. But that, anyway. And Tim Sweeney also confirmed that Sony is the only platform that requires them to pay compensation for crossplay.
Wow.
Sony is, once again, I mean...
Sony is trying to... So this is Sony's biggest problem, and I've been seeing it coming for a while. And again, they weren't always like this. They were only like this once they relocated their headquarters, and apparently they relocated their headquarters to California. They relocated their brain to somewhere just above the 13th level of hell. And basically, they're just like, they were doing great. They were like, yes, you play games how you want to play games. There was this great, really great like skit thing that they did, where they were like mocking this, and they had like one of the old guys from PlayStation from Japan and this newer guy from America, and he's like, I want to show you how we let players trade games and play games and trade games between their friends. And he goes like, hey, would you like to play my game? And he's like, yes, I would like to play your game. And then he hands him the disc and he's like, thank you. It's like, that's how we want you to play games. It's like, where is that spirit?
Yeah, where did that go?
Where did it go? Because it doesn't exist anymore, apparently. So sad.
This is okay. I might have doubled this up. This one says Sony really hated PS4 crossplay. Confidential documents reveal.
Yeah, no kidding.
So they were
makes them look like greedy POSs.
So anyway, this is kind of the same thing, but a little bit different. They then later added in the thing about the compensation. So that's kind of, so maybe there aren't 7. Maybe I only have 6 here, but those two are pretty well connected. But here's something that's just out of left field. Walmart was apparently working on a video game streaming service that was supposed to launch in 2019. Now, I haven't looked into this enough to know if this is still something that's in the works, but it has not been officially announced, and it's yet another leak to come out of the Epic versus Apple trial. Go figure. They say here it's not even known if Walmart still plans to go through with it. The Verge tried to ask for comment, but there was no comment given. But Walmart, of all places, can you imagine? It's like, what are you gonna game on next year? You're gonna get an Xbox. You're gonna get a PS5. Are you gonna go with Stadia? Or I was thinking Walmart. I was thinking I'd try that new Walmart service. See, they seem keen. They seem with it. They seem like it's not going to be a cheap piece of crap like everything else you can buy there.
Right?
It's so weird. It's so weird that like Walmart of all places were dipping their toe into this.
Hi, Tara K. Nice to see you.
Tara K with us for a bit, one of our New Zealand listeners. Always good to we do this show at this time to make it easier for our folks down east, way over east in Tomorrowland, Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and places
Spread
like
the
that.
word.
Yeah, tell your friends.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
Yeah, Walmart. Well, I mean, Walmart was already they tried to break into gaming with leaking the existence of upcoming games. I guess that didn't work well for them, so they decided to go with streaming. I
mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Because that happened like shortly after, so they've been planning this like shortly after that big leak happened, right? Like that must have been in the decks. And then like to be the guy to have to like sit down and talk to these studios after that had happened. Hi guys, we'd really like to talk to you about the your upcoming titles and maybe we're working on a streaming platform. Maybe you might be interested in joining up with us.
That's
and like just the people like glaring back at them. It's like the guy who walks into like just into the wrong conversation at the wrong time, and everybody's just glaring at him, going, "You shut up! No, we are not doing this. You shut your mouth!" Like, oh god, it's so funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So, I mean, actually, I can see how that would go. It's like, hey, remember how we accidentally leaked your upcoming title? Well, how would you like us to distribute them legitimately and maybe avoid future leaks? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. All right. Fortnite made $9 billion in 2 years, while the Epic Games Store has yet to turn a profit. We knew the second part already, but we know how much... So Fortnite in 2018 and 2019, $9 billion. It's insane. So, and we know about... So Fortnite has... it's where their money's coming from. And honestly... what was I going to say here? Speaking of Fortnite... Fortnite has plans for Samus the Rock skins, according to internal Epic documents. I mean, whatever, right? Some other cool ones, the Bride from Kill Bill, John McClane. Oh, nice. So, if you play Fortnite, that might be cool. But we also know Epic spent over $11 million to offer free games on the Epic Games Store. And this actually surprised me at how small this number is, because we learned how much of a loss that Epic has seen from the Epic Games Store over the past couple of years. And wasn't it $500 million?
Yeah.
So this this 11 million, it seems like a drop in the bucket. And you know, the rest of it, like, they spent an insane amount on the amount they will have spent on Epic exclusive deals will be much higher than this. But yeah, so this is like less than well, this is a small fraction of the number of that, the amount they're in the hole for the Epic Games Store. Like that it's operating at a loss for them. But if they're pulling in $9 billion in 2 years for Fortnite, you can see where the money is coming from with that company, right? So yeah, some crazy numbers at play. And another one that's pretty unrelated, but apparently Stalker 2 is going to be a 3-month Xbox exclusive. Now, I don't know how I feel about this, because we've been ripping on Epic for the longest time for their exclusivity deals, and to some extent, I mean, exclusivity deals have been okay. Actually, fill in this info for me, Sib. Is Stalker being developed by a studio that that Microsoft owns at this point? I don't remember.
I don't remember that off the top of my head. So I believe it's.
Well, anyway,
Developer, yeah. I kind of doubt it.
So that's going to be a timed exclusive on Xbox. And I guess, wait a second. It says Stalker. Okay, apparently it was announced last summer as an Xbox console exclusive.
Yeah.
Now it's a time. We know it's a timed exclusive. That's only 3 months. Okay, that kind of clears things up a little bit. But anyway, there's that bit of info that came out. And there may be more. If you know of any others that have come out that I haven't listed here, let me know. Let me know in the chat, or send us a message on the Discord server in the content requests channel. Maybe we'll talk about them next week when we kind of rehash all of this. Anyway,
there's actually some comments I want to read from the chat.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Terracay says, the thing is, if streaming services ever take off, it's just going to go the way of Netflix, where every other big company decides they don't want to give you a cut and will make their own service.
That could very well be, yeah.
And then Lady Reaver follows up with, and then is going to further divide the gaming industry. Yeah.
Now,
well, I mean, I think that's, I would argue that that's more or less a good thing. Because if you have the ability to really muddy the water with, right? Like if you have a chance to like really muddy the water with just a lot of different opportunities and publishers and distributors, like that chips away at the big guys, and it creates more competition. Where smaller things might take off. Now, right now, I would say that for the most part, this hasn't been working the way that it should, because there's so many like services, like there's so many TV streaming services that have popped up over the last like few years, you know, with all that Netflix stuff, and most of them have done very poorly, and some of them have really destroyed things, you know. But then it has also given us like new life into other things, like season 6 of Community was actually pretty decent. Like it was on Yahoo streaming of all things, but it was pretty decent. Like it was okay. They made the horrendous mistake of not shipping it to other countries, so it was only available in the US, which was metrically stupid. But then when it got onto Netflix, it took off again in the last few years, and it's literally one of the top rated shows on Netflix and top watch shows on Netflix right now. So it's it does offer good things, but we haven't seen any, like, I don't think we've seen anybody like really take off. I mean, Amazon's doing a little bit better with their shows. The Invincible series was jaw dropping. So it's like, yeah, there is some stuff growing. Unfortunately, it seems to only be the mega companies that are pulling that off right now. But all it takes is like one really good hit series from a, small time thing, and the people who have the brains to make it work. Unfortunately, right now we don't typically see a lot of brains in this operation, in these operations. So yeah, sad.
Yeah, I agree. Competition is good, and in some ways, it's similar to how things were before with cable. I mean, I don't know how it was in other parts of the world, but for the longest time here, like, you had two choices of cable provider. It was one or the other. There was very little difference between them, honestly. At least from a consumer.
Oh no, you wanna bundle the shows that you wanna watch together on the channels you wanna watch them? Oh, and you don't want to pay for all those extra shows? That must be really inconvenient for you. We can come out and have a tech on site, maybe if you're, I don't know, available on the second Thursday at 4 in the afternoon, for about 5 minutes, and then if you don't show, that's it. Like, I'm doing the South Park thing. If you're not, like, just the guys who are like, oh, how can I inconvenience you even more?
Yeah.
Oh no! It's like, you bastards.
But I agree with some of what Lady Reaver and Tara K are saying in the chat. Like, if you got 10 different services to subscribe to, at least, like, you might subscribe to different packages on cable, but at least they're all being delivered to the same place, and it was easy to, you didn't have different logins for each one. So I do see the benefit there, or like, I do see where it's different there. It does get complicated and confusing, and especially if you're subscribing to something just because of one show you want to watch, and then, I don't know, you forget to cancel it or whatever. It's one of those things where it's still a relatively new technology, and it'll hash itself out in the end. I mean, if you think about it, Netflix was the only one for the longest time.
This is true.
And then we had Amazon and Disney and then all of these smaller ones as well. So eventually I feel like it'll smooth out. But in the meantime, I play video games instead. Man,
pretty much.
My wife and I, we watch the Marvel stuff together. It's kind of our thing. Like, we just started watching all the Marvel movies a couple of years ago, and yeah, it's been great. The Marvel TV series are the only TV series I have actually sat down to watch in years. It's like, I'd rather watch YouTube and or play video games. I mean, or make content. So anyway, what were we talking about?
Well, again, just like streaming services and competitors in the gaming industry, that they're becoming more frequent, and that's a good thing. Again, I think that's a good thing. It still is heavily corporatized, which is a problem, because do you really want, Walmart making decisions for games, especially games that you're not owning but / renting from them? Like, all it takes is one bad year and one analyst to tell them, we really need to stop making games here, because I have this pie chart that I threw together in 15 minutes, totally leaving out multiple sets of really important information. But because I presented it to the board really, really well, they completely believed me, and have since decided not to even, not to do anything that makes logical sense. They're just going to follow me down a rabbit hole of stupidity. This happens all the time. Analysts are idiots. Oh my God, it's so terrible.
It's a brave new world. Walmart in the
Brave and
gaming industry.
stupid.
Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's something they thought about and then abandoned. But anyway, you are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast, and we love seeing everybody so active in the live chat. Thank you so much for being here with us at this ungodly hour. If you want to keep the conversation going after the live broadcast, it's not an ungodly hour in where some of you are listening, but here in North America, it's pushing pretty late. It's tomorrow in some places. We welcome you to join our Discord community. You can find the link in the description below. It's a place where you can chat with us and other Triple S League community members. They call themselves the Triple S Legion, and talk about all the things we love to talk about. And stay up to date about everything we're doing here at the Triple S League. Lots of topic channels. You can request topics over there. We have lots of people who do that. And we try to talk about as many of them as we want, because we want to talk about things that interest you. So that's what we do. And so over here on the Triple S Podcasts channel, you find this, the Augmented Reality Podcast. On our main channel, you can find all kinds of other content, including comedy stuff, game guides, and our new Saturday live stream, Saturday Morning Legion. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the permanent name of it or not. It might just stick. I literally came up with it the night before we went live, but we've been working on this new format for some time, and it really seemed like just so many of you really enjoyed it. A more casual hangout time where we still talked about what's going on in gaming, but we also showcased. We had 3 games that we played on that stream on Saturday. Moon was doing live artwork, and we just had a good time. Going back and forth with the chat and hanging out. So we're going to keep that going. Like I said, a lot of you really enjoyed it. We're going to keep it going, look for ways to improve it. So subscribe over there to catch that and all kinds of other content. That's the Triple S League channel. It's our much larger main channel. You find the link to that in the description below as well. All right. So some breaking news that we found out about shortly. Well, I heard about it a few hours ago, and then Side messaged it to me sort of just before we went live here. The director of The Witcher 3 has left CD Projekt Red after a workplace bullying investigation. Konrad Tomaskovich was cleared by the investigation. Now, what this means is a little unclear. I mean, he was accused of bullying. Now, what was their definition of bullying? We don't really know exactly what was going on or what actually happened. But apparently, the investigation cleared him of this bullying charge, whatever that was. But he still resigned and gave an apology for, quote, all of the bad blood that he caused at the company. So this is really interesting. He's apparently innocent of whatever he was accused of, but not completely innocent, period. Something was obviously going on. And so it's kind of bizarre from that angle. I don't know if we really have any details here. Let's look at this article. Okay. He wrote in an email to all of the staff that despite being cleared, a lot of people are feeling fear, stress, or discomfort when working with him. So he left an apology for all the bad blood he caused and said he planned to work to change his behavior. So he's acknowledging that he had some bad behavior toward his fellow employees. So whatever that means, we don't know the details. But there was, according to this, by the way, this came out through Bloomberg and Jason Schreier. There was a lengthy internal investigation, and the commission formed on the investigation found him not guilty, but he's still resigning. So this guy was a big deal at the company. So this is no small thing. He was director on The Witcher 3 and also worked on Cyberpunk 2077. He was the design director and then became a vice president of game development at the company. So he was big. He was an important figure at the company. So this, it's unfortunate to hear that there was something going on behind the scenes that, obviously people were feeling bullied by him. And again, exactly what their complaints were, maybe will come out, or maybe it's being sealed up.
I wouldn't expect the details to come out. They try and keep this stuff pretty quiet. And even when journalists get their hands on it, they keep things quiet on it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. But even just looking at kind of the sort of workplace culture that we kind of get a picture of here, that kind of makes sense why things turned out the way they did when they finally launched. So, makes sense. Sad, but makes sense.
Well, I mean, true. And we know even long before Cyberpunk came out, you weren't with us at the time, Moon, but we talked a lot and did a lot of investigating into what was going on at the company, and there was definitely management issues. We know there were management issues happening. And we weren't aware of anything like this going on.
I mean, there's always workplace difficulties, right?
Sure, and
there's always problems with people clashing, butting heads. There's some people who are very convinced that their way of doing things is the only way to do things. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't listen, then you're an idiot, right?
Yeah.
So stuff like that. I mean, it happens. It happens sometimes a lot, and it's sometimes problematic. But you try and keep a level head and continue to do things the right way, aka whatever. So yeah, I get it. It's weird. It's odd. It's
it's hard to draw any conclusions too, because again, we don't know what the specific accusation was. We don't know what bullying means in this context. What exactly is an accusation of bullying as far as what they were investigating. And yet, even though he was found not guilty, he still left. He still resigned. And so there seems to be an admission of some bad behavior.
Of some disruption to the workplace.
Yeah, right. What does that amount to? What exactly is it? I don't know. So it's hard to draw a lot of conclusions about this. And that there could also be things going on behind the scenes. Like there might have been some kind of a wink and a nod and if you sent out a nice little apology email and just leave quietly, you'll still get your severance or something like that. That's complete speculation. I'm just kind of saying there could have been something like that going on behind the scenes. Yeah, I don't think Saib's getting sleepy, actually, Arturio. I think he's biting his tongue on this topic for reasons.
Yeah,
good reasons.
I have to bite my tongue on
which unfortunately we can't explain, but yes, he's kind of letting me take the lead on this, which, I mean, again, wish I had more concrete answers, but anyway, this is the case. Now, let's talk, though, about what this means for CD Projekt Red. So they've lost another one. And actually lots of comments in the chat about this.
Yeah.
A lot of you are skeptical, and I understand that. What did you want to say, Moon?
I was just going to read some comments from Wooly Ram.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying, what was it? So it starts out. So he actually demanded people do their job and arrive on time. They got too big and hired too many millennials and Zoomers. Give CDPR 5 years, and they will become one more BioWare.
That's possible if they don't clean up their act. Clearly there was, but again, it's was he the solution or the cause of the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask yourself that in so many scenarios, and you never know which one it is. I can guarantee you there's stories that can drop about people in the gaming industry that a lot of people would believe the two polar opposite ends of that story almost immediately, and they would be convinced of it because of their own experience and whatnot that they put onto the event. And that's not healthy in a lot of ways, but it's also like you can't really stop that kind of stuff from happening too. So
Wooly Ram disagrees with me, says it's very easy to draw conclusions he got canceled. CDPR is circling the drain. Well, with the circling the drain,
I wouldn't jump on that being the reality of what happened here, because like we haven't seen that kind of stuff. He wasn't too outspoken as far as we know. Typically if somebody's canceled, there's a celebration about like this is what they were canceled for, like the raising and the burning of the effigy, right? So that's where it's like did they get canceled, or did they how does that work, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I would be like, that's the one thing why I would say that I don't feel it's that's the reason, because again, if it was, somebody would be taking a victory lap, because somebody always takes a victory lap, right? When they cancel somebody, cancellations are celebrations to some very messed up people. They jump up and down, they go, we got another one, woo, and they're dancing in the street, they're hoisting the corpse of the thing that did it, right? And I mean, there's a lot of this stuff that's outright lies. I mean, the amount of canceling that's been happening recently over things that somebody never said or did, or what's been happening lately is that you'll get an article, or somebody will approach something and they'll say, here's my 5 points why this person's an evil person, and the first one's taken out of context. And the second one's taken out of really ridiculous context. There's no basis for that as being a logical assumption that somebody would make, period. And then the next 3 of them are lies. This happened very recently with a streamer, where and he rebutted against it. He was like, no, don't you dare. And he goes through the list, and Asmongold was kind of was listening to it and was reading it, and he goes, yes, the first 2 things are like over exaggerations of scenarios that were of things that were said in completely out of ordinary things that if you read it the way that they position it, you kind of go, oh wow, that was terrible. But if you sit back and go, now hold on a second, this doesn't quite make sense, let's pull up the actual events that happened around this, and you go, oh, that's not nearly as ridiculous as what they said. In fact, it's kind of normal. It really is kind of normal. It's like there isn't grounding for this. Then you investigate the next 3 complaints, and you discover that the next 3 complaints didn't even happen, and they were complete lies. But because somebody listens and responds to the first one, and in often cases in canceling, again, it's the first one that drops, and then the person's like, and the worst thing you do is you apologize, because you're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It's like you do that, then they're like, he's guilty of all of these other problems, and then they trot them out, or she or whatever, and they literally hoist them up, and they go, look at their sins, and it gets progressively worse as the story goes on. It's like a guy who gets hit in the military, right? Like he's in a war, he gets injured, and it's really just a graze. It's a light graze. But you listen to the guy, if he doesn't have a firm grasp on his on himself, the story keeps morphing over time. And you can see this literally in politicians in today's world. It's like, oh yeah, I was there, I was on the ground in that place. Then it turned from that to, I was under attack in that place, to, oh my goodness, these terrible things happened and I survived a bombing in that place. It's like every time they retell the story, it gets more and more ridiculous. There was a journalist who got caught for doing this. There were multiple politicians that have got caught for doing this. So it's this gradual evolution, and it's the same types of people when they're headhunting other people through cancellations,
which I would argue is worse, because you can the way human memory works, you can unintentionally remember details wrong and embellish them in your mind. There are things that happened to me in my childhood that I remember, and I'm like, but did it really happen that way? Or or I will remember telling somebody about something that happened, and then I'll start to question my younger self, being like, did that really happen that way? But anyway, yeah, it's true, and I would argue that this in some ways is worse with the cancellation of people for things getting taken out of context. It's gone crazy. Like it's just gone nuts. Now, was this guy canceled? I mean, Wooly says we will see, and I agree. If something comes out over the next few days or next few weeks, some anonymous source comes out and says to Schreier, "Oh yeah, here's all of his laundry list of sins that he can't defend himself against now because I'm reporting this anonymously and he's no longer at the company, blah blah blah." Well then I could see that being a cancellation effort or some kind of effort to just get him out of there for perceived injustices. But again, will it be like he does seem to be accepting some kind of some responsibility for whatever it was that happened. So there's just not enough info for me to come up with any kind of firm conclusion in my mind. Yeah.
I'm not going to jump on anything for a while. Because again, Wooly, he might be 100% correct, and we're going to see the outcome of that over the next few days, right? Like that we might wake up tomorrow with a new story where it's like, oh, he did this, and he held somebody in the bathroom and gave them a chocolate swirly, and he repeatedly did this after the person was found crying, begging him not to. It's like, that would get real pretty quickly,
yeah,
and it would get pretty inexcusable pretty quickly. But again, is that what happened? Is it not what happened? We don't know. I will say that again, The Witcher 3 had a lot of problems on launch, just like Cyberpunk. It had a lot of problems on launch. It wasn't until they had all their DLC, and it wasn't until they had their final DLC and all of those fixes in that everybody sat back and said, "Wow, this is the best game of the year."
Yeah, that's
again, exactly, and so people have very short memories when it comes to this kind of stuff. So again, I'm sitting here kind of going over it in my head, and I'm very curious: was he a problem, or was he trying to be a problem solver? And how is that going to affect the company going forward? That's where my head is at, because I'm like I want to know, we all want to know what happened, right? Obviously, but it's like I want to know if this is going to make things better or make things worse overall, and how do they react to that down the road?
Honestly, I don't want to know what happened. I'll be interested in talking about it if it comes out what actually happened, but I'm not much for digging into people's dirt.
Yeah, I want to see how the company decides to move forward. Because time marches on.
Well, and I'm wondering, I'm skeptical that it was solely his idea for him to resign, or if it was some kind of agreement they came to in the back room, kind of a thing. I'm skeptical of that. I agree with Jasmine here that the apology is weird. It seems like an odd thing to do.
It does come off as being fairly bizarre.
I mean, my mind is just still stuck on this. He was cleared, but then he resigned from what was clearly a lucrative position. That's odd. Now, maybe he did it out of principle. Maybe he was like, no, I really have caused a lot of trouble, and it's better for everybody if I leave. Maybe that was his thinking. Who knows, right? But it does seem like it's an unusual circumstance for sure. Or maybe he just didn't want the stress. Because even being accused and investigated, you still have that red A tattooed onto your clothing or sewed onto your clothing. If you get the reference from, what's that story called? The adulteress gets the red A put on her clothing. And even if you get cleared of the accusation and it gets torn off, you've still got that rip there where it was. And a lot of people will still think you're guilty anyway. Sad reality if you are completely innocent, which I'm not saying he is. Again, we don't even know what he was accused of. And like Darkness points out here, no real info to go on here. The word bully raises an eyebrow. Much BS starts with that term. Again, exactly. There's a whole lot of different opinions of what that might actually mean. Like, I don't know that... Is there even a legal definition of bullying? I'm not even sure.
It's one of those things where it's like that bullying is not actually a crime in most places. Like,
yeah,
in
exactly.
most places, unless the bullying becomes physical
harassment. Well, yeah, if you if you attack somebody, then it becomes, but then it's assault or it's harassment or there's these legal things. Bullying itself, I don't think, is a criminal or like a legal term. I could be wrong about that. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But also, it doesn't. It's
going to be different. It's going to be different in different countries.
Well, exactly. Sure, obviously. For sure. But also, it says a commission was formed to investigate. This wasn't a legal investigation. It's not like they got the police involved. It sounds like they formed a group of people to look into this, or they brought somebody in to look into this. So it was an internal thing. It wasn't like a legal thing. So, again, what does it actually mean? Even if there is a legal definition of being a bully, what did it mean in the context of this investigation? Who knows? We may get answers, we may not. We'll see. Until we do, that's about all there is to say about that, I think. What we could talk most about is something you've already touched on, and that's what does this mean for the company going forward? And I guess that depends. Like you said, was he problematic? Was he part of the cause of the problems that The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077 faced, or was he not? So, any final thoughts on that?
This is one of these, again, I can't talk about this stuff too much, so
fair enough.
It seems like a wait and see thing to me, honestly. That's pretty much all we can do at this point.
Yeah, just to end off, I hope everybody is doing all right out there with the lockdowns, and the world is still... I mean, I can't believe we're a third of the way through...
Inflation.
I can't believe we're a third of the way through 2021, and we're still dealing with... and here I am not even sure if I can name the disease on YouTube without it...
We'll just say all of this.
Flagged, but you know what I'm talking about.
All this junk.
Yeah, all this junk. Hope everybody is doing well out there. I hope that you're finding... something to latch on to bring life some purpose and joy, even if you're in bad circumstances. I know there are some in our community who are having a rough time. I just want to say we feel for you and we're here for you. Sybe and Moon and I, we can't keep tabs on everybody, but we try to. I noticed somebody hadn't been, talking much in the server last week, and so I reached out just to see how they were doing. Can't do that for everybody because there's just too many people in the community, but I hope you're all doing that for each other. If you notice someone hasn't been around in a while, maybe reach out, see how they're doing, make sure they're doing okay. Mental health is a big concern right now. As Wooly points out, it's the 1.5-year anniversary of 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. I can't believe we're here. And I was feeling...
Hey, at least we have each other.
Exactly. I was feeling a little depressed earlier because things are tightening up again in our area. And it hit me because it just feels so constricting. But we're going to keep on doing what we're doing here. We're really focusing on trying to build and uplift and be more community focused in our content, bringing more comedy, bringing more actual gameplay, bringing more stuff that just enriches your lives, and people loved our Saturday stream and were saying, it just felt like we were sitting together in a living room, hanging out as friends, playing video games and talking. I was like, that is exactly what we wanted to do. So exactly. I'm so glad that worked. And we're going to keep trying to do that because we have realized that our most important asset here at the Triple S League is our community. And we love all of you guys. We have people from all over the world, all different backgrounds, walks of life and beliefs, but we all come together around the stuff that we love talking about. And it's amazing to me that the decision to just start a Discord server a few years ago has led to this. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you for supporting our content, and I encourage you to subscribe here and to the main channel and check out our Discord server. And hopefully you'll find a community there that you can feel a part of. So thank you, everybody, for the great conversation, for supporting this show by listening live or after the fact. Please slam that like button if you haven't already. Really appreciate that. And I want to extend a very special thanks to our Patreon supporters and channel members and Twitch subscribers who have been instrumental and very helpful, especially during this time where, things have tightened up a bit, but we've been able to keep trucking along, largely due to you folks. So thank you so much. You've seen their names appearing in gold throughout the podcast today. So those are our financial supporters. But to everybody who supports by watching, sharing, liking, we really appreciate all of that because that's how it gets out. The YouTube algorithm is a mess right now. So it's you who make this happen. So we really appreciate that. All right. The Augmented Reality Podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for all the stuff I already talked about. My name is Ash. On behalf of Saib and Moon, thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon.